So it's been reported that Gervonta Davis will be returning in the summer to rematch Pitbull Cruz at £140. Now, this is a fight that a lot of people are a bit upset about, for being honest. A lot of people are expecting Gervonta Davis, if he was to come back. So I'm assuming his legal troubles are over if he's planning a summer comeback. People were expecting him to come back. It would at least maybe be a Lamont Roach rematch, or maybe a Shakur Stevenson fight, or one of these big marquee names that everyone's really wanting to see Gervonta Tank Davis fight. I guess Lamont Roach isn't a marquee name like that, but it's a name that makes a lot of sense because the last fight was a draw, right? But he's vacated or been stripped rather, not necessarily vacated, but been stripped of his lightweight world championship. So him coming up to 140, again, Tank's not even big for 135. Tank weighs in at his fights like 133. He's not a big for 135. He could probably fight at 130 if he wanted to. Right? But honestly, the same could be said for Pitbull Cruz. I mean, Pitbull Cruz is bigger than Tank. But again, he's not big for 140 and is a former 135-pound fighter. I guess the only reason why each guy probably doesn't want to fight at their former weight class is probably because of age, if I'm being honest. And at this point in Gervonta Tank Davis' career, he's probably thinking, he's not got a ton more camps behind him, or ahead of him, sorry. He's probably not, going to have a prolonged career after this. He's already made the majority of the money he's going to make in boxing, in my opinion. I mean, it depends. Likelihood is he's probably getting an arm and a leg for this Pitbull Cruz rematch. But even though you're saying, well, yeah, Pitbull Cruz isn't that big of a name, he sells tickets, because he's always an exciting fighter. And Gervonta Davis himself is one of the biggest names in the sport, so doesn't necessarily need another name to make, for this event to have tons of commercial appeal. He's not a fighter that's got a bit of a name and really needs another name alongside him to take him over that level. No, Gervonta Davis is at that level. He is a pay-per-view star. And unfortunately, controversy creates cash, and distance only makes the heart grow fonder. So, there'll be tons of interest for his comeback fight. There will be tons of media hype around it, tons of interviews. And Pitbull Cruz is a guy who, okay, great, granted, he's not going to really sell it outside of the ring. But when you're in that ring, Pitbull Cruz is coming to fight. And Pitbull Cruz does not have boring matches, typically. And especially against a guy like Gervonta Davis, who isn't going to be able to outbox him. Not because Gervonta Davis is necessarily a bad boxer, it's just really not his style. It's really not his style. And even though I think Gervonta Davis is actually an underrated boxer, in my opinion. I think he's an underrated boxer because he's not like a Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney. Don't underestimate his defensive skills, and certainly don't underestimate his counter-boxing skills either. I know his defense at times can feel a bit forced and a bit ugly and a bit janky, but he makes it work. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. He makes it work. He's an undefeated multiple weight world champion. He makes it work. And against Pitbull, he's already fought Pitbull before. This is a rematch, by the way. It was a few years ago now, but it is a rematch. And Tank won that fight. Believe it was a decision, but Tank did land some big shots on Pitbull in that fight. Because again, Pitbull's hittable, and Tank is a great counterpuncher. So logically, makes sense that they would be able to land on each other, right? Granted, I guess this fight I'm expecting would be maybe even more competitive than that first fight. Because, again, Tank's been out the ring for so long at this point, and, again, he's coming back at a heavier weight class. Not a weight class he's not fought at before. Of course, he did beat Barrios at this weight class, but he was just levels beyond Barrios, in my opinion. In terms of, his actual boxing ability he showed in that fight, Barrios is nowhere near the level, right? And the fact that Barrios was a two-weight world champion is crazy. Honestly, in my opinion, is insane that this dude can retire and say, yeah, I was a two-weight world champion. That's crazy to me because Barrios is not that good of a boxer, bro. He's not that good of a boxer. But, again, not a weight class that Tank has never fought at before. But the only opponent he did fight was a guy who really isn't at that level. And Pitbull will be a far tougher opponent at this point in his career at 140 for Tank than when they first fought at 135 a few years ago, in my opinion. Because Pitbull has been more active. He has been. And even though, yeah, he drew with Lamont Roach, but so did Tank. And I guess, honestly, Pitbull's performance against Lamont Roach was better. I can't say that, though. No, okay, this is how I'm going to say it. Pitbull's performance against Lamont Roach was better than Tank's performance against Lamont Roach. Granted, both guys did land shots on Lamont Roach. It wasn't like it was an insane, perfect performance from Lamont Roach in both of those fights. You know, Lamont Roach, in my opinion, outboxed both guys pretty comfortably and deserved to win that fight, but he got hit by big shots, and granted, those guys are the bigger punchers at those weight divisions. To be fair, Lamont Roach ate those shots, so that tells you what you need to know as well. But what are your guys' opinions on Tank Davis coming back for the summer against Pitbull Cruz in a rematch? Do you think it'll go the same as the first fight, or do you think Pitbull could maybe create the upset? I mean, I don't know what the odds will be opening at. Maybe, I'm assuming Tank would be the favourite because they fought before and Tank won. So Pitbull winning would be like an underdog win. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think Tank will win or Pitbull will win? Let me know. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.